The vote of betrayal. The grand hall of the Galactic Council was filled with noise and light. Hundreds of alien species sat in their golden seats, each representing a different world. At the center stood the circle of judgment, where all final votes were cast. This time, the name at the center of the debate was one word: feared and misunderstood. Earth. Ambassador Rook stood alone, tall and calm, his human eyes watching each alien face. He wore the formal dark blue suit of Earth's diplomatic corps, but there was no smile on his face. Around him, whispers floated through the air like poison. Unstable, one alien delegate said. Too violent, another hissed. Deathworlders, spat a third with cold hatred. Rook didn't speak, not yet. He had already spoken 2 days ago, reminding the Council of Earth's loyalty. Earth's peace treaties, Earth's help during galactic plagues. But no one remembered those now. Now they only remembered how dangerous humans could be when pushed. High Speaker Zori, a thin creature with silver skin and glowing eyes, stood at the center. Let the vote begin, she announced with a cold voice. This council will decide whether Earth is to be exiled from the Galactic Union. The chamber fell silent, the lights dimmed, and the holographic vote symbols floated. In the air, each species would choose yes for exile, no for trust. The first hand rose, yes, then another, yes, and another. Yes, one after one, the vote began to fall against Earth. Even those who had once traded with Earth now voted yes. Afraid of being seen as allies to the humans, Rook stood still, his hands behind his back, eyes never blinking. He already knew. This wasn't a vote. This was a warning. This was betrayal dressed as order. Only 2 species voted no: the Parnak, who remembered Earth's help during the comet storms, and the Julari, who still owed humans for saving their queen's life. But 2 votes could not change the tide. The final count glowed red above the chamber. 342, yes, 2 no. The High Speaker turned to Rook. Earth is hereby exiled from the Galactic Union, she said without emotion. Effective immediately, your trade routes will be shut, your ambassadors recalled, and your species declared a Class 3 threat. There was no sound in the hall, only quiet breathing and the soft hum of the council. Systems. Rook finally stepped forward, his voice calm but sharp. I see, he said simply. You have made your choice. He did not beg, did not argue. Instead, he pressed a small button on his wrist device and whispered into it. Protocol. Dawnfall, he said. A few council members leaned in. What was that? Someone whispered. What did he say? Rook looked at the crowd once more. His final words echoed through the hall like cold fire. Earth trusted you, he said. You chose fear over friendship, pride over peace. But don't worry. Earth will respond in the only language you made us learn. With that, he turned and walked out of the council chamber. No guard stopped him. No one dared to move outside. The stars looked the same, but something in the air had changed. The silence carried a warning, the kind of silence before a storm. Back on Earth, deep beneath the oceans, massive machines began to wake up. Old engines, locked away for years, came alive. Red lights glowed in hidden bases on the Moon and Mars. And far beyond, near the edge of the Orion Arm, cloaked ships began to turn toward Council space. Earth had waited, planned, prepared, and now the choice was made, not by Earth, but by the very council that once called itself the Guardians of Peace. The first tremble of fear began in the heart of an alien technician watching deep space sensors. A strange signal had just appeared. Too big to be a ship, too fast to be natural. It was heading straight for the capital. The council had betrayed Earth, but they had no idea what Earth truly was. Not just a planet, not just a species, but something else entirely, something that remembers and never forgets. The silence before the storm. The Galactic Council celebrated quietly. News channels across the galaxy reported the decision. Earth exiled. Humanity declared dangerous. Some planets threw parties, believing the threat was gone. Some leaders gave speeches about peace and safety. and others just sighed in relief, thinking the humans had been dealt with. But far away, beyond the reach of Council eyes, a storm was waking on a cold moon at the edge of the galaxy. Inside a hidden Earth base, Admiral Marcus Hale stood before a massive black screen. Behind him were 30 human officers, calm, focused, silent. On the screen was the command message from Earth's ambassador. Protocol Dawnfall is active. Marcus didn't blink. He looked at his officers, all veterans of old wars. Begin. Silent mobilization, he said. Start the Black Fleet, in seconds. The entire moon base began to glow with red light. Giant hangars opened, revealing ships that had no name, no ID, no markings. Just black metal and hidden fury, back on Earth. The public had no idea what had happened at the Council. The media showed smiling anchors, gentle music, and calming words. Everything is fine, they said. But in the sky above Earth, satellites began to shift silently. Defense shields powered up to full. Factories started working nonstop, building ships, drones, and weapons. All in complete silence. It was as if Earth itself had gone quiet, not in fear, but in preparation. They didn't scream, didn't shout, didn't threaten, because they didn't need to. Earth was speaking in silence. On a station orbiting Jupiter, a young radar operator noticed something strange. Multiple deep space signals. Earth's own war fleets, moving off-grid, cloaked, silent, invisible to regular sensors. He asked his supervisor, "Why are they all leaving at once?" The supervisor stared at the screen. He had seen this once before long ago. During the border conflicts, before peace was signed, he whispered, "Because we've been betrayed. And now, someone will pay." In the galactic core, alien ships patrolled as usual. They still laughed at humans, called them death monkeys, jungle-born, soft-skinned cowards. But one old alien general, Torvak of the Valari, didn't laugh. He had fought humans before. He knew the silence of Earth was never a weakness, it was a countdown. He called the Council. He begged them to prepare defenses, to apologize, to stop what was coming, but they ignored him. "You worry too much," said High Speaker Zori. "The humans are just throwing a tantrum. Let them cry." But deep in space, something moved. A fleet, no. Something bigger, something built in the shadows. Human dreadnoughts, each the size of a city, slid through space unseen. They didn't use hyperspace lanes. They didn't broadcast signals. They just moved like ghosts through the void. Each ship carried thousands of soldiers. Each had eye systems far beyond what the Council had ever seen. And each had one mission: strike only those who voted for betrayal. In one quiet system, a Council-aligned planet suddenly lost power. The sun dimmed. The sky turned red. Then came the sound, not a voice, not a threat, just a single tone, low, cold, ancient. Every child cried. Every adult froze. Then the sky lit up with fire. No warning, no broadcast. Just silence and destruction back. On the Council's main world, alarms began to flash. Messages came in from dozens of systems. Something is happening. Unknown attacks. We think it's Earth. The Council panicked. They had no plan, no defense. They had never imagined humans would strike this fast, this hard, this perfectly. The Council sent messages to Earth, diplomatic, begging, lying. But Earth didn't answer. Only one message returned. A recording of Ambassador Rook's final words. "You chose fear over friendship. Earth will respond in the only language you made us learn." Now the Council understood. This was the silence before the storm. And the storm had arrived. Across the galaxy, people watched the skies. Human ships appeared without warning. Cities went dark before explosions came. Command centers melted from orbit strikes. No human soldier was seen, but everyone knew who was behind it. One alien child whispered to his mother, "Mom, will the humans come here too?" She didn't answer because she didn't know. The silence was spreading, and with it, the fear. The galaxy had mocked Earth, pushed them aside. Now, Earth was speaking back, not with words, but with silence and fire. The Ghost Fleet, they came without a sound, no warning, no light, no signal. One moment the mining station was full of life, the next it was gone, floating in orbit around the quiet red planet. Station Vora 9 was the largest mineral hub in Sector 83. Over 7,000 workers lived there, humans, aliens, traders, smugglers, all under the Galactic Council's flag. Security was tight, scanners were always active, and the station had its own defense grid, but none of it mattered. The last message from the station was a scream, a single voice shouting. They came from nowhere Earthships, then static, then silence. Council investigators arrived hours later. All they found was melted metal, twisted corridors, and floating debris. No survivors, no attackers, no escape pods, just ash and steel. Across the galaxy, the same pattern followed: shipyards, fuel stations. Council bases erased. The attacks were fast, clean, and left no clues. The only thing anyone could agree on was this: Earth's fleet had returned. But this was not the same fleet the galaxy had known years ago. This was something new, something terrifying. The news channels gave it a name: the Ghost Fleet. Admiral Torvak of the Valari watched the reports with a cold heart. He had warned them, begged the Council to listen. Now it was too late. He studied the footage. What little there was: no visible ships, no heat signatures, no weapons seen, only destruction. One system reported a shadow passing across their sun. Then their capital city vanished in a blink. Some claimed they saw shapes moving in the sky, massive, dark, almost invisible. Others thought they were hallucinating. But Torvak knew better. Turn to his advisors. Activate all planetary shields, he said. Recall our ships from Council duty. If the Ghost Fleet comes here, we must be ready. But even he wasn't sure if that would be enough. On Earth, no news was shared. No public statement, no military speech. The people simply worked harder. Engineers built more ships. AI labs processed targeting data. Families sent silent prayers and prepared shelters. They all knew Earth was not done yet. In the deep dark near the galactic rim, the Ghost Fleet moved like shadows in water. Ships that couldn't be seen by light or sensors drifted across black space. Each ship had armor so dark it absorbed stars. Each had engines that made no sound. Each had a target inside the lead dreadnought. The bridge was silent. Commander Raina Cole stood at the center. She watched her screens, each showing nothing but empty space. But she knew the targets were ahead. All systems green. Hooray, I said softly. Next strike location reached, she nodded. On my mark, she replied. 3, 2, 1, fire, from the outside. There was no flash, no beam, no sound. But on the target planet, the central command tower crumbled like sand. Power shut down, sky turned black, and communication stopped instantly. The world screamed, but no one could hear it, because there was no one left to call. Council members panicked. Messages flooded the central network. Who is being attacked? Why can't we see them? Where are the ships? And always the same whisper in every room. The Ghost Fleet. The Council tried to hide it, tried to silence the panic, but fear moved faster than light. Whole races began leaving the Union. Planets pulled back their diplomats. Military forces withdrew from Council space. They no longer trusted the Council. They feared Earth more than the old enemies. Some said the Ghost Fleet wasn't real. Some believed it was a myth, a story told to scare children. But then the capital of the Terran Empire disappeared in a flash of red light. The Empire's leaders were gone, and the message left behind was clear. A simple human voice, repeating again and again, "This is justice for betrayal," in the darkness of a transport ship. A small alien child asked her father, "Why do the humans do this?" Her father looked down with tired eyes. "Because they were betrayed," he said. "And now they want everyone to remember." More and more systems began sending surrender messages to Earth. They offered peace, resources, and apologies. But Earth didn't respond, not yet, because the Ghost Fleet was still moving, still hunting, and still unseen. And across the stars, one question remained: where would they strike next? The galactic core had never seen war. For thousands of years, it had been a place of peace, order, and pride, home to the Council's oldest civilizations, richest cities, and most protected planets. Its defense systems were the best in the galaxy, or so they believed. The core world of Aurelian 5 glittered like a jewel in the black, spinning with rings of gold and blue gas. Millions of aliens walked its shining cities. They believed they were safe. They believed no one could reach them. They were wrong. High. Marshal Drenkal of Aurelian's Defense Command stood on his balcony. He watched the sunrise and sipped his rare fruit drink. He smiled as the Council's anthem played across the sky. Then his communicator beeped. "Marshal," said the voice. Shaking, We have an issue." "What kind of issue?" Drenkal asked. Annoyed, the voice stuttered. "There's a signal. No ID, no origin, but it's in orbit. And..." The sun dimmed. Drenkal frowned and turned toward the sky. The bright gold star above had turned red. Not natural red, deep, angry, blood red. The sky followed. Darkening then. The sound came. It was not a voice, not a siren, just a deep hum. Like a beast breathing near your neck, it echoed across every screen, every speaker, every mind. Then came the message, human words, calm and terrifying. "This is the cost of betrayal. No more warnings, no more votes. This is justice." Before anyone could respond, the city's power grid failed. Lights flickered, shields dropped, defense systems blinked off, and above them, something massive appeared in the clouds. A shape, blacker than space, not flying, floating, drifting, watching. It didn't fire missiles or lasers, it simply hovered. And when it moved, things vanished. The central government tower disappeared. First, then the orbital ring, then the spaceport. One by one, blocks of the city turned to ash. No explosion, just gone. Panic exploded. Aliens screamed, ran, tried to hide. But no one could find shelter from the sky. The dreadnought never spoke again. It just watched and wiped the city clean. Back on Earth, Admiral Hyle received the status report. He read it quietly. "Target neutralized," the AI said. "No survivors." "Good," he replied without emotion. "Next system." The Council finally woke up. Emergency meetings were held across every core world. Panic spread like fire. What do they want? Why are they not answering us? Where is the Ghost Fleet going next? But no one had answers, because Earth wasn't making demands. They weren't asking for surrender. They were passing judgment on the world of Siren 3, home to 5 Council delegates. 1,000 defense satellites surrounded the planet. Each had lasers, AI, and auto-targeting. But they never fired. Because by the time they noticed the threat, it had already passed through them. The ships didn't appear. They revealed themselves, like phantoms stepping out of shadows. Black and quiet, they hovered in low orbit. No shots fired yet, only one signal sent, a repeat of the ambassador's words. "You chose fear over friendship. Earth responds. This is what you taught us." The people of Siren 3 watched in horror. The ships above them weren't just weapons. They were symbols of patience turned into power, of silence turned into storm on the ground. One young alien girl looked up and whispered, "They're not monsters. They're just done." Siren 3 was spared, but the message was clear. Earth now chose who lived and who vanished. The Galactic Council tried to reach Earth again. They sent envoys, peace offers, even gifts. But every message was blocked, every signal jammed. Earth had gone completely dark. Only the Ghost Fleet spoke, and it spoke in destruction. Alien news outlets broadcast warnings. Hide your leaders. Don't gather in one place. Whatever you do, don't provoke them. But the truth was simple. Nothing could stop them now. On the Council's main world, High Speaker Zori stood in her chamber alone. Her hands shook as she rewatched the footage from Aurelian 5. All she could do was whisper, "What have we done?" The answer came not in words, but in the shape of a shadow moving across her window. The sky turned red, and then the stars began to fall. Revenge protocols. The sky above Delvoria Prime cracked open like glass. A red beam sliced through the night and turned the planet's biggest naval yard into glowing ash. Thousands died without a scream, and once again, the attackers were never seen. Back on Earth, deep below the surface, inside Command Vault 7, the real plan had just begun. General Arya Voss stood inside a steel room, surrounded by ancient terminals. On the screen before her were 3 flashing red words: Revenge protocols active. Earth had expected betrayal, not hoped for it, not wanted it, but planned for it. The protocols were written nearly 100 years ago, the moment Earth joined. The Galactic Council, old human leaders knew one day the Council might turn against them. So they created a backup plan, a quiet, deadly plan. Inside that plan were names, locations, ship designs, secret technologies. It was called Project Dawnfall. And now it was fully in motion. The Ghost Fleet wasn't just a response. It was the beginning. The protocols were the real weapon. Earth's intelligence AI called Archon controlled it all. It tracked every council member who voted yes, every base that helped, every planet that cheered, and it added them to a list, a long cold list. No mercy, said the protocol's code, only memory. Meanwhile, in the Valari system, Torvak, the old alien general, received a strange message. It wasn't from the Council, it wasn't from Earth. It was from an old human friend, a former war captain who had once fought beside him. The message was simple: you warned them. Now we clean the galaxy. Torvak sat back in his chair. He understood now. This wasn't war. It was cleansing. Cleansing of lies, betrayal, and weakness. On the edge of the galaxy, a small desert planet received a signal. The citizens gathered in the square to hear it. A calm human voice spoke. This planet voted no. You are safe. The crowd broke into cheers, but many across the galaxy weren't so lucky. On the Council world of Firaxis, their planetary defense grid suddenly shut down. Every satellite turned to face the surface, and then detonated. Not a shot fired from Earth. The Council's own systems had been hacked long ago. The protocols had planned for everything, even before Earth was betrayed, even before the vote. Humans had already placed traps, code, and viruses into Council networks, and now they were activated. Admiral Hale stood aboard the human dreadnought Vengeance. He stared at the holographic list glowing on his screen. Each name marked with a red line meant eliminated. Each name still glowing yellow meant pending. Beside him, AI Archon spoke. Softly, 6 more systems marked for justice. Would you like to review the list? Hale didn't blink. No, he said. Carry out the protocol. The dreadnought turned without sound and vanished into the dark. Back on the Galactic Council's primary station, panic turned into chaos. Delegates screamed at one another. Some blamed Earth, others blamed Zori, and some tried to call for peace. But no one was listening. Their emergency fleet had already been destroyed, their backup bases gone, their allies silent. One delegate shouted, "We must talk to Earth." But someone else answered coldly, "Earth isn't listening." Meanwhile, on a cold moon called Triona 7, a human child sat beside his alien grandmother. They looked up at the stars as explosions flashed far in the sky. The child asked, "Why did Earth become so angry?" The grandmother sighed, "Because they were kind for too long, and the galaxy mistook kindness for weakness." At the edge of the sector, another dreadnought activated its signal. It played a recording on every open frequency. Rook's voice once again filled the stars. "You chose fear over friendship. You made us choose silence. Now we answer with truth, and truth is written in fire." That night, 5 council worlds went dark, not from war, but from fear. Their leaders ran, their armies stood still. No one wanted to face what came next, because the galaxy finally understood. Earth didn't come to fight, Earth came to remember, and now, Earth made sure the galaxy would never forget. Surrender or burn the galaxy had never felt so quiet. Not because there was peace, but because no one dared to speak. Planet after planet had gone dark, ships vanished without battle, leaders disappeared without a trace, and every voice that once mocked Earth had fallen silent. Now the ghost fleet hovered like death itself, watching, choosing, waiting, and one message echoed across the stars: surrender or burn. In the outer sector, the world of Travalis received the message first. Its leader, Prime Chancellor Voda, stared at the screen, her 4 eyes wide with fear. The message kept repeating in a calm human voice: surrender or burn. She had once called Earth a primitive fire world. She had voted yes to exile humanity. Now her palace trembled from the power hum of something above. She looked out the window and saw the shadow massive, black and silent, covering the sky. Her guards ran, her advisors wept, and Voda fell to her knees. Surrender, she whispered. Surrender. She opened the emergency channel and sent a full planetary surrender. Every weapon deactivated, every ship grounded, and the ghost fleet above simply left. They did not destroy, they did not punish, they simply accepted her silence. News of this spread faster than light. Planets rushed to follow, some begged for mercy, others surrendered without being asked. They wanted to live, they wanted to avoid the fire, but not everyone understood, not everyone believed. The military world of Varnak 6 stood proud. They had beaten 6 invasions in the last century. Their generals laughed at the message. They believed Earth was bluffing, so they powered up their fleet, sent warships to the edge of their system, and waited. What came next was not war, it was execution. The first wave of human drones entered silently, too fast for targeting, too small for defense. They slipped through shields and crawled into engine cores. And when they exploded, they took entire ships with them. Then the ghost fleet appeared. 10 massive ships, completely still. They fired no missiles. They dropped no bombs. They simply released the silence. It was a weapon the Council had never seen. A sound that made no noise. A force that made machines shut down, that made blood freeze, that made even the bravest soldiers fall to their knees. And then Varnak 6 burned. No survivors, no second chances, only a message. This is what pride buys. After that, the galaxy changed. On a farm world, a father told his children, if we ever hear a human voice, stop whatever you're doing, put down your tools, stand still, and listen. On the Council's old capital, only a single building remained. The rest had been wiped out by a strike no one saw. Inside that building, a single council member sat alone. He had voted no during the exile. He had warned the others. Now he waited, hoping that meant something. The ghost fleet passed over the planet, slowly like judges watching the prisoner, but they did not strike. They did not speak. They simply turned and disappeared into the stars, in the far reaches, neutral. Planets began sending offerings to Earth. Medicines, food, rare metals, anything. They didn't know if Earth wanted it. They just hoped to show respect. Meanwhile, Earth itself remained quiet. No press conference, no speeches, only orders carried by AI and encrypted messages. The people of Earth continued their lives, working, building, remembering, because this wasn't about glory. This wasn't about war. It was about honor. And what happens when honor is broken, in the shadows of a broken world? A child looked up at the sky and asked, will the humans forgive us someday? His mother pulled him close and said, if they do, it won't be with words. It'll be with silence. The final message was sent to every remaining council world. It was the voice of a human woman, calm, soft, but more terrifying than any weapon. You made your choice. Now we make ours. Surrender or burn. No one questioned it anymore, because by now, everyone understood. Humanity didn't need a flag, didn't need a speech. They had become something greater than fear. They had become consequence. Earth's judgment ends the Council. The last meeting of the Galactic Council was never announced. There were no cameras, no reporters, no banners, only fear, only whispers. Only empty chairs where powerful leaders once sat. The council hall once. A a symbol of peace and unity, now stood damaged and silent. Most of the building had been destroyed in the first wave, only the central chamber remained. A broken dome under a red-tinted sky. 7 delegates were all that remained. 7 out of hundreds. They sat together in silence, surrounded by ash-high speaker Zori, once proud and powerful, now looked tired and thin. She stared at the cracked table before her, the same table where she had once raised her hand to vote. Against Earth. Now her hand shook with every breath. One delegate finally spoke. "They're coming." Zori nodded slowly. "Yes," she whispered. "They are, outside the ruined chamber." The sky darkened, not with clouds, but with something. Much worse, the Earth Dreadnought Judicator hovered above the planet. Its size blocked out half the stars. Its engines made no sound, its weapons didn't glow. But everyone knew what it could do. Inside the Judicator, Admiral Hale stood before the main display. Beside him, AI Archon listed the final targets. "The last 7 members of the Council," the AI said. "All present." Hale took a deep breath. He remembered the early days. The treaties, the handshakes, the fake smiles. He remembered the betrayal. The silence that followed, and the screams that came next. "Prepare judgment protocol," he ordered. "Transmission only." Archon obeyed. A bright beam shot from the Dreadnought, but it wasn't a weapon. It was a projection in the ruined council hall. The 7 delegates gasped as a tall figure appeared in blue light. It was Ambassador Rook, not in person, but a full projection. His eyes were calm, cold, unreadable. He looked at them one by one. "You betrayed Earth," he said softly. "You did not declare war. You voted. You used your rules to cast us aside. No one responded. No one dared. You expected us to beg." Rook continued, "To crawl, to accept exile. But Earth does not kneel." Zori lowered her head. "We were afraid," she said, her voice weak. "We thought you were too dangerous." Rook's projection stepped closer. "And you were right," he said. "We are dangerous, but only to those who betray us." He raised one hand, and the image of every destroyed world appeared in the air. Not to brag, not to threaten, but to show them what had already been done. "You were not punished for power," Rook said. "You were judged for cowardice." Zori fell to her knees, tears streamed from her eyes. "What happens now?" she whispered. "Will you erase us too?" The projection paused. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then Rook spoke. "No, not today." The delegates looked up, confused, hopeful. But his next words crushed them. "You will live," he said, "but your time is over. The council is finished. The galaxy will rebuild without you. You will carry your shame until your last breath." Then the image faded, and the Judicator turned. It didn't fire, it didn't destroy, it simply left, that moment. Spread across the galaxy like fire. The council had been spared, but not forgiven. Their power was gone. Their name meant nothing now. Soon after, new alliances formed, built by those who had remained neutral or loyal. Earth led nothing, but Earth was respected and feared on Earth. The people watched quietly as the fleet returned. There were no parades, no celebrations, only a silent understanding. They had done what had to be done. In a school on Mars, a young girl asked her teacher, "Will the galaxy hate us forever?" The teacher smiled gently. "No," she said. "They will remember us forever. But they will also learn." In a quiet garden near New Tokyo, Rook walked alone. A child ran up to them and asked, "Did you win?" Rook looked up at the stars and answered, "We survived." And they listened. That was enough, because Earth didn't need to rule. It didn't want to conquer. It only wanted one thing: to never be betrayed again. And the galaxy had heard that message loud and clear.